U.S. Representative from Florida, Matt Gaetz, is calling out his own GOP leadership, saying that the establishment GOP is in shambles and is running from President Donald Trump. He's talking about people like Liz Cheney, Mitch McConnell, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, and their what seems to be politically expedient, I guess, decision to abandon Trump, but more importantly, seemingly turn their backs on the people they're supposed to represent, the Republicans who elected them into those positions, their constituency, their very own base, the base of the Republican Party, who, despite the leadership turning their back on Trump and Trump's ideas with the inauguration of Joe Biden, the people themselves, the base, still believe in concepts like making America great again and America first. These things didn't die with the inauguration of Joe Biden, and Matt Gaetz has his finger on that pulse. He is calling out these leaders for their willingness to bow to corporate America, to big tech, and to lick the boots of the Democrats just because of the election results in 2020. Matt Gaetz, in my opinion, is trying to be a leader despite not having a leadership position, maybe as formally as someone like McConnell or McCarthy. And leadership isn't about a position. Matt Gaetz is rallying support. He's letting people know that there are still Republicans out there fighting for their ideals. And he's suggesting that the party maybe needs to show a little bit less faith in people willing to sell them out. Now, Matt Gaetz has refused PAC funding, and he says that once the money dries up for people like Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy, Liz Cheney, that what you're going to find is that the emperor has no clothes, that these people's positions aren't based on their leadership, aren't based on their popularity, aren't based on how they're representing their own constituents. Their leadership positions come from money and traditional ideas of political power, establishment power. But there are lots of Republicans out there still bucking the establishment. There are lots of Republican voters out there who are not happy with the establishment, who have turned on Trump. Mitch McConnell has rumblings of voting for impeachment. And Mitch McConnell seems to be entirely a political monster right now, not really concerned with the party or with the constituents he represents, but preserving his own power in the Senate. That isn't really sort of in the minds of a lot of other people. We're wondering how we're going to make it as Republicans over the next couple years, how the Democrats are going to be checked, and Mitch McConnell seems worried about himself. Kevin McCarthy, who leading up to the electoral vote reading on January 6th, was talking a big game about challenging those electoral results and sort of leading the charge in the GOP House. However, the moment that became unfavorable, he flipped script, even suggesting that the GOP needs to censure Donald Trump and that Trump may have incited the riots himself. And this is, for a lot of observers, kind of curious because many people can listen to Donald Trump's speech and see what was going on with the Capitol and not actually see a connection between Donald Trump's speech and inciting the riots, especially since those riots started happening before Donald Trump's speech was even over, and he was over a mile away from the Capitol building when he gave the speech. Incitement doesn't really enter into it in any sort of logical sense, yet they're quick to blame him because he's an easy target to blame. But Matt is pulling no punches on Twitter. He says there are too many people in Republican leadership who will do anything, sell out anyone, even President Trump, to get in the good graces of corporate America and the woke left. And that is targeted directly at Mitch McConnell, Liz Cheney, and Kevin McCarthy. There are, of course, other Republicans out there, the traditional establishment, Mitt Romney, you've got John Cornyn, people like that, people who don't seem to hold the value of the voters that sent them there, but do hold the power. They are backing down. And there's a real concern that these people will be the people who flip and capitulate to the impeachment proceedings against Trump because they think it'll curry some sort of favor with Democrats. But I've got a message for those Republicans, alleged Republicans. The Democrats will still hate you. They still won't like you. They'll never accept you. You'll be their darling for 10 minutes. For 10 minutes of being a darling of the Democrats, you'll sell out your constituents, you'll sell out your own party, and you will sell out the principles which elected you into office, the principles upon which your voters relied to send you there. And once you got there, you turned your backs on them. That's what Matt Gaetz seems to be hitting for me. I don't know. Why don't you drop a comment down below and tell me what you think about Matt, about the GOP, about where this stuff is going. I would love to get your thoughts. And if you like this legal and political news, these short stories, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any further releases. Thanks a bunch. We'll talk soon. Peace. Peace.